Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Flame Entertainment and Sports. It's your boy Rob here. I hope everyone's doing good out there. On today's show, we're gonna have a fun one for you guys. We're gonna start off in the entertainment world, bringing back in Valerie Alden, who we had on a couple weeks ago to cover the Grammys. This time, we have her on to do a little preview of the iHeartRadio Music Awards as they're set to occur on Monday night on Fox at 8/7 Central. It was a great conversation with Valerie. It was, a complete joy to have her on again for a second time on the podcast, and we were looking forward to bringing her back on, God willing, next week to do a little recap of the iHeart Awards, and then after that, we move into the sports world where I give my thoughts on what the Dolphins have done so far within the first couple of days of NFL free agency. But yeah, guys, it's a fun one. Hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure to keep it locked in here on Instagram and TikTok at the flame_ES. With all that said, let's start off in the entertainment world with the amazing Valerie Alden as we talk about the iHeartRadio Music Awards. Enjoy. All right, guys. So for the entertainment section on this week's episode, for the second time on the podcast, we have Valerie Alden, and we're going to be doing a little preview of the iHeartRadio Music Awards, which are happening on Monday. But yeah, Valerie, welcome back to the podcast. We're happy to have you back.
Thank you.
No, for sure. Yeah, thanks for joining us today. But yeah, like I said, guys, we're gonna be doing a little preview of the iHeart Music Awards, and the biggest topic as always is Taylor Swift. Me and Valerie, we've been DMing back and forth, and people are trying to figure out whether she'll be there, whether her and Travis will it be their first red carpet appearance together. Will she be announcing a new album? Like people are just with Taylor, people are always speculating. So yeah, Valerie, if you want, like, give us like a prediction on whether you think she'll be in attendance.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, I'm wondering the same thing, but I'm also wanting to respect her boundaries and stuff, like spending a long break and stuff from touring for like 2 years. So I'll be really curious at the same time, but I really think something might have to do with her documentary. Might be another documentary maybe coming out. I'm not really sure. It's hard to really tell what it could be. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
For sure, me too. Yeah, that's definitely a good like prediction there. Of the tour documentary, she could like announce that it's coming out at midnight, or I think that'd
Yeah.
be. I feel like I do think she'll be there, and I do think if she is there, it's for a reason, to like announce
Yeah.
something. She'll just like show up just to be in the crowd. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see what Taylor does if she does show up. But yeah, there's obviously other artists that are nominated are gonna be in attendance. Like I have a list here. I screenshotted here. So a couple of the confirmed like people, right, that will be there as of right now. Bad Bunny, Billie Eilish, Gracie
hmm
Abrams. Just a couple of people that have been confirmed. I'm sure we're gonna see more of these
Yeah.
people who are nominated. Like maybe Olivia Rodrigo will be there. I know Sabrina Carpenter, like she's nominated, but she's like on a tour right now, so I don't think
Yeah,
she'll
she's on tour.
be there. But yeah, like besides Taylor, like who else are you excited to see at the iHeart Awards?
Billie Eilish, for sure. Billie Eilish. She's an amazing artist as well, and she's very empowering, and what she puts out there is very inspiring. And it's really neat that her mom, Maggie Baird, is a founder of Support and Feed, and they've been doing a lot of really neat stuff across the years as well. And I'm really proud of Maggie and her organization to where it's coming along.
No, that's awesome. I didn't even know that. Yeah, what is it that they do like in that organization?
They help support, excuse me, they help
No,
support people in need and stuff, and who are like maybe experiencing like difficulty times and stuff. And there's a lot of deliveries that are made in LA, Nashville, and all sorts of different cities. And in that Billy's show, they have volunteers that are really trusted and vetted to work at the booth station at some of Billie Eilish's show, and recently there's some at Phineas's show as well. So it's really neat the way they have it together, where the fans come up to the booth, they get really excited to take the 30-day pledge, and to eat one plant-based meal a day, and it's just really fun. And anyone who lives in LA, I do recommend the restaurant, the place called Monty's Burger. It's really delicious. And no, I'm just really proud of Maggie Baird and the whole uh, community and the whole family. And it's an awesome thing that's happening for Sport and Feed and Billie Eilish and Phineas and the whole family.
No, for sure, that is like super awesome. You know that they're using that platform they have to help people. That's super cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
since you did bring up Phineas, I know you were at one of his shows recently, and
Yeah.
got to talk to him and everything. So if you want, like, how was that experience? And yeah, how was like the overall concert? Like seeing him.
He is an amazing person and an amazing artist, and it just I surprised my mom for Christmas with tickets. She had no idea until Christmas Day, and we're really big on using like water bottles and like tumbler cups that help the environment, not like plastic use and stuff. And I have had a lot of Stanley cups recently, and I got her one as well for Christmas. And I rolled up the ticket, like the confirmation, and I put it into the cup. And on Christmas morning, she opens up and she's like, "What?" And then I kind of gave her a hint to open up the top as well. And she's just like, like it was just so like it was really neat because Phineas has inspired my mom for such a while now, and it was just an amazing time. My mom and I drove to San Francisco to see him, and we really enjoyed the show. And he sang he sang one unreleased song, and it was just really neat. And afterwards, my mom and I, it was a, it was an honor. My mom and I got to meet him after the show, and my mom got to share her experience, and it just meant a lot to me that I got to see the experience that my mom had gotten because Phineas has meant the world to her for a long time. She loves his music, and he's just an amazing artist. And I'm just so happy for my mom. Like, I could just keep on talking for hours on end. And yeah, it was just an amazing time. And my mom and I have memories, and it was a week ago from today we saw him, and it was just amazing. Like, he talked to us for like 10 to 20 minutes, I think it was. Like, a couple of other people were with us, and it was just an amazing time.
Nah, super cool. Like, I'm happy for you guys, and that's super nice that you did that for your mom. And I think too, like hearing Phineas, like being willing to take the time to meet with fans after a show, I
Yeah,
think that speaks volumes. And that shows like the type of person he is, like a humble guy. And no, I love
definitely.
his dynamic too with Billy. That they like perform together. They basically do everything together. I find this
Yeah,
so cool that they've like risen, to stardom like together. Um, but yeah, with that said, to take it back to the iHeart Awards, so obviously like Billy, she'll be in attendance. I'm pretty sure she'll be performing. But yeah,
yeah,
like besides Billy too, like someone else that within the last year or two, she's like she keeps rising up, right? She keeps like selling out arenas, and little by little is Gracie Abrams. Like, I love I love
yeah,
her music, and I think she's just like awesome overall. I love
yeah, me
following
too.
everything she puts out. So I'm excited to see her, at the iHeart Awards.
Yeah, Gracie Abrams is, it's kind of humorous that I say this because 2021, my mom and I attended Bottle Rock Music Festival there in Napa, California, and we went mainly to see Phineas for the first time ever. But it's really kind of humorous to look back because I didn't really know who Gracie Abrams was at the time until as I've gotten to know more about her and her music. I'm like, oh my goodness, wait, I saw you like back in 2021 at Bottle Rock. So it's been amazing to see her like climbing up and becoming more and more known, and I'm very proud of her. She's doing amazing big things, and the song she wrote with Taylor Swift called Us is amazing too, and I'm looking forward to seeing what she has to perform at the iHeart Awards. Definitely.
For sure. No, I love that story. That it is really cool to see people like before they're like stars. So that is a really
Yeah.
cool story, that you'll always have. And I actually have a similar one. It's someone else will also be at the iHeart Awards, Bad Bunny.
Oh,
So
cool.
I want to say in around 20, it was like 2019, I want to say, or 2018, one of those years. He was like, he had released his first album. He was like up and coming, and here in Miami, like, the majority of people are, Hispanic people. So I remember finding out about him. I became like a fan, and he performed like a small show at like a super small venue, like
Oh,
somewhere here in
wow.
Miami. And now all these years later, like he's one of the biggest, musicians in the world too. So I think it's really cool that we both have those stories of two people who are
Yeah,
gonna be a big part of this iHeart, award show.
definitely.
I think that's super cool, and yeah, so it's pretty cool. Those of you watching on YouTube, I've worn this shirt a lot, on the podcast. My Olivia Rodrigo shirt, but I'm really hoping that we get like some sort of an appearance from her, whether it's just on the red carpet or maybe she presents an award. I'm not really sure. Hopefully she wins something, but yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
big Olivia fan, so I'm hoping to see her and I'm pretty sure Chapel Rona hadn't mentioned her either, but I would love to see. I'm pretty sure she'll be there. I'm not 100% sure,
I'm
obviously,
not sure either.
but, but yeah, see Chapel. In terms of like the like categories, right? Are there any like specific categories that you're like you're hoping like an artist or like some song wins? Or...
Other than like music, there is a photographer who I've really admired for the last year and a half. His name is Henry, and he's an amazing tour photographer. Like his ability to capture every moment um of on Billie Eilish's tour is just amazing. His technique, the different angles, to me as a photographer myself, I can see how he's unique in a really good artistic way. And I'm rooting for him. I really am in the photography category, and I'm also rooting for Travis and Taylor. I thought that was such a special and fun duo that they did in London. I thought that was really neat that Travis had gone on stage and had performed like that. I thought that was amazing, and I'm rooting for everyone at the iHeart Awards, and it's a big honor to be nominated. And each and one of the artists and musicians should be very proud of themselves for being nominated, and it's still an honor to be nominated, even if you don't end up winning something. Still be proud of yourself because being nominated is a big um accomplishment, and for sure.
I agree. No, I agree 100%. Like just being nominated is
Yeah,
huge in itself. But yeah, no, it's definitely it is cool. The whole Travis and Taylor thing when he like performed with it, I'll never
yeah,
forget that. That was so awesome. When that happened, like seeing all the videos of all the people posting from the concert there in London, and
yeah,
no, it's cool that you brought up photography too. Because yeah, I was gonna say I didn't know till a couple of days ago that you have a photography page and you take pictures and stuff and
yeah.
yeah, your pictures at the Phineas concert are like amazing. Like you should be in that category.
Oh,
The
thank you, thank you.
it's so good. So yeah, if you want to talk a little bit about yeah, I didn't know, is that like one of your passions, like photography?
Definitely. I have a quick funny story how it started. When I was 5 years old, I kind of knew how to use a DSLR camera already at 5 years old. And I snuck in the middle of the night and I took one of my parents' camera. And for some reason, I was obsessed with the timer setting. And I would put it on self timer and I would be blowing out candles in the middle of the night. I know it's dangerous. I know, little 5-year-old, but I remember I was sitting in the kitchen, and my parents had talked to me about safety and stuff, and they were like, "Oh, this may be something she may." Do in the future, which is to take photographs, not like candles, but and it was around 10th birthday I received my own personal first DSLR camera, Nikon, and I've launched from there. And I did a lot of yearbook photography in high school, and recently, like in the last several years, concert photography. has been a big passion, and I know it can be hard to get credentials and press passes, so I do I'm very thankful that I have the 16 Max, the iPhone 16 Max, because the photos I recently got of Phineas and like of Travis Kelce at the football game, and all those were taken with my iPhone. And I sit down and I study portrait mode on my iPhone, and I also give my Uncle Tom a shout out because he's an amazing iPhone photographer himself, and he's taught me a lot of techniques, and he's amazing at nature and all that stuff. So my real like my goal is to be able to bring in a big camera into either an NFL game or to a concert, like for maybe Billy or Phineas or like Taylor Swift someday or something, like any artist. Like it's it's awesome. Like photography's definitely been a huge passion of mine for quite a long time now.
Nah, that's so cool. I love that. Yeah, that you've been into it since you were like literally a little kid, and I think
Yeah.
that's so awesome that yeah your parents like recognized it early. You got that
Yeah.
you're super young that first camera and not super cool. I didn't know you took them on the iPhone.
Yeah, I had it's just yeah, it's awesome like taking iPhone for like photos at the same time and stuff.
Nah, super cool. And I love what you said too that you would love to get like credentials and stuff to cover to go to games and concerts. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, it's my dream to be able to bring in a big DSLR in. But I also respect the rules and boundaries because I know it can be a little bit frustrating to like concert goers seeing, somebody in like front of them or something. So I can understand, and also I have to respect the rules. But I mean, I've had a lot of people I've admired as who are tour photographers and work for like Getty Images, and it's pretty neat. It really is neat.
Nah, that's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like a really cool field, like to be a part of. But yeah, so with the iHeart Awards, I don't know if there's anyone else that you're excited about seeing, or anything in general that you're excited for these this award show coming Monday night.
One of the things is it's on my 25th birthday.
Oh,
I thought that was a small world, and and I'm actually kind of clowning or wondering if they're gonna have like an emerald colored carpet or something. But there's a actress that I've admired for like 4 years now. Her name's Shailene Woodley, and she's up for a Broadway, I believe it is. So we don't know who's really going. It'll be an interesting and more of an exciting time to see
for
who
sure.
ends up arriving and attending.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know if, like a lot. I don't know how many people actually feel like this, but for these award shows, like I don't know what it is, but I love watching like the red carpet and trying to get clips and posting it. I just like for some reason I love seeing all these people arrive.
Hmm.
I don't know. I always enjoy that aspect of like all these different award shows. Like sometimes I enjoy it even more than like the award show itself. You get me?
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah, it's exciting when they arrive and get their pictures taken and they get interviewed and maybe they'll drop a hint or something of like what they're working on or something like that. And
Yeah.
it's very exciting.
For sure. None, it's cool you brought up like Shailene Woodley. Nah, she's a great actress for sure. I'm a fan of hers too. And yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. I know she's in the Broadway category. I know like Ariana Madix, reality star. I know she's in that category too. And honestly, this kind of random, but I'm kind of hoping that Sabrina Carpenter that she wins like Song of the Year with Espresso
Oh
because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. That's just like a random one that stands out to me because I just feel like Espresso, the impact it had in general last year was just like insane, and I feel like even if you weren't a a pop fan or even if you're not really in the entertainment world, I I felt like that song was everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So and speaking of her, it's pretty cool. She's like on the second leg now of the Short and Sweet tour, and I know she just
Oh yeah.
announced a couple new U.S. dates, and she's gonna perform
Oh yeah.
in New York. Actually, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's just gonna be in LA too, and I'm like, shoot, because tickets are sold out now. Because I wanted to try and get some for my mom and I, but you never know. I mean, last minute we may be able to get on out there.
I was gonna say, yeah, don't, yeah, like keep. I would keep looking because I'm like, well, in terms of getting tickets for a game or a concert, I usually always wait till the last minute because I feel like even if it says, oh, they're sold out, some people just buy them to sell them, and some people
Yeah.
maybe something comes up and they're like, all right, I might as well sell it at the last minute rather than not go and not make any money. So I would keep looking. But yeah, I was hoping she would come to Miami. She's not coming to Miami, but one day I'll see her in concert for sure. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't know. For the iHeart Awards, is there anything else like you wanna talk about?
Um, it's an exciting time. It really is, and I really think the way that the staff work there is really nice to see and stuff. Like they're like a nice like team and stuff, and yeah.
I know before we recorded, you said you wanted to talk a little bit about Cycler. I know you talked about working with them in the last time we had you on. So yeah, if you want to talk about Cycler before we wrap up.
Yeah, cycler. I'm really proud of Claudia Salewski, and if like before I really get into it, if it hadn't been for Claudia, I don't think I'd be a content creator that I am today because she's really inspiring, and it like I've watched her YouTube channel for such a long time, and being able to see her grow as a content creator, and when she first announced Cycler, I was almost in tears. Like I was in tears because I know how hard she's worked for this, and it's a big deal. Like to be able to drop something like Cycler, and being able to support her to the best of my ability at the same time by getting the products and like testing them out. Like I wore the Cycler at the Grammys, and like I'm always willing to try and help and promote and promoting her, and it's just it's awesome like what she's doing. Like I'm very proud of her, and I'm it's really I'm really excited to see what Cycler and Claudia has in store, because they've got such a potential to really grow, and eventually maybe they can partner up with like an Ulta or Sephora, a little place like this, and have their own like cute little booth or something like that. And like I know that Claudia really enjoys traveling a lot and stuff, and I'm like thinking it could be really neat that if they have like travel like accessories and stuff, or if she's not like too busy, like I can understand with her schedule or something, like she do like a little mini tour, like she goes to different places that she's like comfortable with, like different cities, and have like a little booth or something so people can like have like a sample set, and then the sample that they like they can purchase online or something. And I'm just really excited to see what Claudia has in store. So, and her products are amazing. I really like the body wash and the roll-on oil perfume, and I'm really proud of her. I really am.
Nah, super cool. Nah, I love like the passion you have for her and the brand. Man, no, shout out to everyone over there at Cycler and Claudia and everything. That's super cool. Doing big things over there. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, Valerie. So before I let you go, if you want, yeah, you could tell the people where to check you out on social media and all that stuff.
I'm on Instagram, Valerie Alden underscore, TikTok, uh, this Valerie Alden, and my Twitter, Valerie Alden. So,
Sounds
thank you so much.
Of course. So yeah, everyone, make sure to go, check her out on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, guys, we hope you enjoyed, our preview of the iHeartRadio Music Awards. Once again, the award show will be happening Monday night, March 17th at 7 Central on Fox. And yeah, we're super excited, to watch it. And yeah, Valerie, it was great to have you on for a second time. And hopefully we'll get you back on to do a little recap, next week.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, everyone. So for the sports section on today's episode, going to be covering Dolphins free agency. So free agency in the NFL began on Monday, where teams, were allowed to finally begin speaking with free agents, and on Wednesday, so yesterday at 4 o'clock Eastern time, these players could officially sign their contracts, whether it's with their new team or whether they're re-signing and with their the team they're already on. And with that said, we're gonna talk some Dolphins as of now. The Dolphins have made some moves in free agency. They signed one guy specifically that I brought up last week on the podcast, Ashton Davis. For those of you who tuned in last week, I on the sports section, I kind of did like a Dolphins like wish list, I guess you could call it. I basically named players that were free agents, from our team, and then I matched them up with free agents from other team. And one of those guys was Ashton Davis, the safety from the Jets. I talked a lot about him on last week's episode. So when the news came out on Tuesday that the Dolphins had signed him, I was just like super happy. In general, because I think he's a hell of a player, and I just think he might not be at such a high level in terms of notoriety or maybe stats, I guess you could call it, because I don't think he's gotten enough opportunity in order to build himself as a legit starting safety in the league. And I'm hoping that the Dolphins give him that opportunity. He spent his first 5 years with the Jets. He started his first 2 years. He started a couple of games his first 2 years, and as time went on, he kind of digressed within the safety depth chart. He was a majority of his playing time was in the special teams for the Jets. But with that said, if you guys want to hear my a little more in-depth thoughts on him, you can check out last week's episode. But I'll talk about him again. But yeah, Ashton Davis, what we're getting with him, Dolphin fans, is a guy that's gonna go above and beyond. Whatever you ask him to do, he's gonna go on that field, give it his all. And like I said, he's gonna go above and beyond. Last week I compared him like the type of player he is. Obviously different positions, but I compared him to like Andrew Van Ginkel. For Dolphin fans that remember Van Ginkel, he was definitely a fan favorite here. Unfortunately we lost him last offseason to the Minnesota Vikings, but I feel that Ashton Davis is the same type of guy, which means that whatever you ask him to do, whether it's on special teams, whether it's at safety, who knows, maybe they want to try him at corner. I'm not saying that's going to happen, and there's no rumors of that, so I'm not like trying to speculate, but I just feel he's one of those guys, like, he just wants to get on the field and he'll do everything he can to help his team win. And with that said, we gave him a 1-year deal worth around it's between like $2 to $3 million. So I think it's a hell of a bargain. Obviously for Ashton, it's like a hell of an opportunity, being that our safety room is currently like wide open, and there's obviously going to be a competition for both starting jobs. As Javon Holland has officially moved on as he signed with the New York Giants a couple of days ago. Jordan Poyer, our other starting safety from last year, he may be retiring, or perhaps another team signs him. We'll see, but I know he's definitely not coming back to the Dolphins. And then, to stick in the safety group, we signed another safety, Ifeatu Melifonwu, the safety from the Detroit Lions. I'm not going to lie, I didn't have a lot of experience of watching this guy when the news broke that we were signing him. All I read online was that, he's a big defensive back, and then he's played corner and safety. And then, I did do some research prior to recording this. I kind of, watch some highlights at least to have some sort of feel, some sort of eye test, not just like reading stuff online. And Melifonwu, like I said, he comes from the Detroit Lions. He spent the first couple of years of his career over there. I think they drafted him in 2021. And something that really stood out to me with Melifonwu on tape is that he's a huge guy. He kind of looks to me like he looks like a safety linebacker type of hybrid. Like, he kind of reminds me actually of like a Jeremy Chin, who I brought up last week, who I wanted the Dolphins to look into at safety. He ended up actually signing with the Raiders, so that was a nice pickup for Vegas and Chin. But yeah, Melifonwu, his body type like really stands out. His ability to blitz really stands out as well, because like I said, he has like the body of like a linebacker, but then since he's a safety, like he's lean enough where he's like so damn quick to get in there and try to sack the quarterback if you want to put him like on a safety blitz. And I don't know, the guy who really came to my mind in terms of opponents when watching Melifonwu's tape was Josh Allen. I wonder if Anthony Weaver has any plans to have Melifonwu as sort of a QB spy when we play the Bills, the 2 games we play them, in the coming season. I'm very intrigued to see if Weaver he maybe has some plans going forward to try to use him to help stop Josh Allen, and so we can finally get over that hump as the Bills have destroyed us for a while now. So yeah, Melon Fanwu, I'm actually really excited, especially when it's a case like this when I haven't really watched the guy or I don't really know anything about him. And then I watch his highlights and I'm like, damn. And then I see the value we got him for. We got him just like Ashton Davis on a 1-year deal, I believe, for like $3 million. And this is a thing of note, though. Like, the reason I believe Melon Fanwu got a cheap contract and we're able to get him for such a bargain is because he is coming off of an injury-plagued season. He only played 3 games this past season for Detroit due to multiple injuries. He had like a finger injury and then an Achilles injury. So I just want to put that out there in case, like, because I haven't heard anyone like on any like podcast or any article or on Twitter like mention that he has like injury history this past season. So I'm glad I did. I always do my research at the end of the day. So I'm glad I did that research, and I'm glad I was able to put it out there because after watching his highlights and like seeing the contract, right, going back to the contract we gave him, I was like, wait, something is off here. And then randomly I was like, wait, let me go to his like let me see how many games this guy played in. I just had like a weird feeling. I saw he only played in 3 games, and I looked more into it. And like I said, it's because he had a finger injury and an Achilles injury. But with that said, I'm like actually really excited for this these 2 safeties we brought in. And I'm sure there might be a guy or 2 more that we bring in. People forget, but we still have Patrick McMorris, who we drafted late last year. Unfortunately, he had honestly a tremendous preseason, but he got hurt in preseason. Then he didn't come back till like I think like the last 2 or 3 games of the season. So he never really had that opportunity due to injury last year. But that's a guy I'm keeping my eye on, Patrick McMorris as well. I believe we drafted him, I want to say, from California last year. But yeah, McMorris is a guy to look at. Then obviously Ashton Davis and then Melon Fanwu, the 2 free agents we brought in. But yeah, that safety battle is going to be super fun. Yeah, and I have a feeling we're not done picking up safeties here. But yeah, I had to start off with Ashton Davis, though, because, the rare times that this actually occurs that, I want the Dolphins to sign a guy or trade for a guy and they actually do it, I got to celebrate it because it doesn't happen a lot. And, it takes me back to 2020 when we drafted Tua. And I'm sure it's happened over the years. I can't really remember other specific examples. But, yeah, when I saw that news of Ashton Davis, I couldn't be happier. So, yeah, And then to move on to some other free agents the Dolphins brought in. So we finally found our backup quarterback. We signed Zach Wilson, the former number 2 overall pick of the Jets, in that draft with Trevor Lawrence and stuff. And, obviously it's been an up and down career for Wilson so far. He is still very young. He's in his early 20s still. He's coming off a year where he was the 3rd string in Denver. But there's a lot of good like talk and chatter about him coming from Denver last year. He was in a nice room there with Bo Nix and Jared Stidham. And yeah, I'm a believer in Zach Wilson. I know some people might think that's crazy. That's completely fine with me. I'm someone that I try to look at everyone's perspective. Like, I'm not just going to be out here being like, oh, he was the 2nd overall pick, but why didn't he do good with the Jets? And then that's a franchise you look at. Really, when you look at recent memory from the Jets, when they draft a quarterback early, when has it really panned out? And most of the time, as always, the media or the fans blame the players rather than blaming ownership or front office or the coaching, or maybe it's not a good fit. I'll give you 2 examples so far, and Zach Wilson, I think, will be the 3rd one pretty soon. Geno Smith, 2nd round pick, highly touted prospect, drafted by the Jets. It doesn't really work out. They give up on him after a couple years, and he's a backup, right? In Seattle for a long time. Then obviously the last couple years he's been a starter in Seattle. He just got traded to the Raiders now, and he's going to be their starter with a $100 million contract. Then Sam Darnold, the 1st round pick of the Jets, highly touted prospect. After a couple years, they gave up on him. He bounced around the league as a backup. San Francisco, and then he goes to Minnesota last year. They draft J.J. McCarthy in the 1st round. He gets hurt. Darnold comes in, becomes a starter, has a tremendous season, and he just got a $100 million contract from Seattle. And then I think Zach Wilson is very much next in line in that whole Jets saga of quarterbacks that, move on from the Jets and eventually, find the home and find, an actual like stable like group around them. I think Zach Wilson, in my opinion, I'm going to make a prediction now. I think he's going to be even better than what Geno Smith and Sam Darnold have turned out to be as of now. So, yeah, I really love the signing of Zach Wilson to be the backup of the Dolphins. I love that we went very young. I want to shout out my boy Jerry. I've had him on the podcast before. He does a great job. He's good with sports and stuff. But, something me and him were talking about that we really love is that we like that we went for a guy that's young and a guy that we could actually develop here. Obviously, it's a 1 year deal, right? So there's no guarantees that he'll be past here, that he'll stay here past this coming season. But we like that we went for a guy that like could potentially develop and stay in our system, right? And obviously, a guy that was a number 2 pick not too long ago. He has tremendous talent, tremendous ability, and something. My favorite thing always about Zach Wilson is like his attitude and how positive he is. He's always with a smile on his face. He's one of those guys that it seems that you want to be a teammate. You want to be teammates with that guy. So yeah, I'm very high on this Zach Wilson signing. I think it's and a hell of a bargain as well. A 1 year deal, $6 million, with incentives that could go up to $10 million. And another thing I really love about the signing is that if it does come to Tua having to miss a game or two due to injury, I'm very confident that Zach Wilson could go out there and could win you a couple games. You could win with him. I really do believe Zach Wilson. I don't know how long from now, but I really do think Zach Wilson one day is going to be a franchise quarterback in this league. So yeah, now to move on to some other signings, to go to a big position group that we very much have to focus on, the offensive line. So we brought in James Daniels, the offensive guard, coming over from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hell of a player. He's still in his 20s, 27 years old. We gave him a 3-year, $24 million deal, so around $8 million per year. Something of note, like as good as he is coming off of a torn Achilles, which he suffered in week 4 of last season. So I just want to put that out there, to begin talking about him, just so you guys know, like obviously we got a hell of a bargain. And also when you look around the league at the other signings, like I know the Jaguars signed the guard from the Ravens, Bakari, the longtime guard over there, and I think they're paying him, I want to say like 12 to 15 million per year. And then you look at like the Dolphins getting Daniels for single digit amount per year. I think that's a hell of a pickup. But like I said, it does make sense because he is coming off of a torn Achilles as well. So we got to put that, we got to keep that in mind as well. We don't know if he's going to be himself from day one, or it's going to take some time for him to go back into what he's been in the league. And, he's been one of the top tier guards in the league. And honestly, like the last couple of years, he was known as the top offensive lineman for the Steelers. And I think that speaks volumes because Pittsburgh usually has an incredible line. When you look at the tenure of Mike Tomlin all these years. So yeah, I really like the signing of James Daniels. And then we also signed Larry Borom coming over from the Chicago Bears. He started last year for them at the right tackle position. He's a guy I believe we're bringing in as a swing tackle, which, for my basketball fans out there, a swing tackle in the NFL is basically kind of like a six-man. So I think Larry Borom's going to fill in that Kendall Lamb role. Kendall Lamb is retiring, I believe. And Kendall Lamb, the last couple of years, I don't know where we'd be without him. Unfortunately, as good and helpful as Teron Armstead has been for the franchise, he's a guy you can't rely on due to his health. And thank God for Kendall Lamb, because I don't know where the hell we'd be without Kendall Lamb. So that's my feeling right now, that we're bringing in Larry Borom as like the Kendall Lamb replacement. And what? Something to point out that I absolutely love with these two offensive line signings. And obviously we're not done yet. I know we're gonna pick up more probably in free agency in the draft, and we have a long way to go until the offseason continues, right? But so Larry Borom, he's 6'5", 333 pounds, and then James Daniels, 6'4", 327 pounds. And now that we're talking about offensive line, to go to one of the guys we kept in-house, Keon Smith, offensive lineman as well, 6'5", 300 pounds. Keon's been in the system, I believe, for the last 3 or 4 years. Unfortunately, he suffered a big injury in training camp last year. But I have high hopes for Keon Smith. That's a guy to keep an eye on. Remember that name, Keon Smith. But yeah, with these three guys right here, I just absolutely love the size. And I got to bring up the Super Bowl. The Eagles had the biggest combined size in like NFL history this season. And that showed. That was one of the main reasons. Look, if you want to say, the top 2 reasons Philly on the field why they won the Super Bowl, their defensive line best in the league and offensive line best in the league. So I'm very excited that we're bringing in some bigger guys as well. And then to move on to another guy we brought in, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, the wide receiver, from the Tennessee Titans. We brought him in on a 2-year, $6.5 million deal, $3 million guaranteed. I think it's a hell of a bargain. This might not be a name that a lot of people know. He's not a big name, not a flashy name. Obviously, the Titans offense hasn't been something that's super talked about over the last couple of years. But Nick Westbrook-Ikhine is a guy that's way more than just a receiver. Can he catch? Of course. His best thing as a receiver, to put it out there, is his ability to get touchdowns, his ability to win the 50-50 balls, especially in the red zone area. I've talked about it on here in the podcast. The Dolphins last season, We were one of the worst red zone offenses in the league. We were terrible in the red zone. And bringing in a guy like Westbrook-Ikhine makes a lot of sense to fill a role that we've been missing for a while now. This game transcends beyond just receiving. Something that really stands out about him is his ability to run block, especially on the boundary runs. And obviously, we know Mike McDaniel loves to call those runs to the outside, especially with Achane. And I think coming up next season, we're going to see a lot of Jalen Wright running to the outside as well. But yeah, Westbrook-Ikhine is just like a freaking football player, man. That guy, you put him out there and he's not going to complain if you don't throw him the ball, if you don't call like the main route for him. He's just going to go out there and do whatever you're asking for. If you want to kind of go back to that Ashton Davis, Andrew Van Ginkel type of player, they're just football players and they'll do anything that they're asked to do. They'll go above and beyond and they just want to help their team win at the end of the day. So I think that's another great value signing there by Chris Grier and the front office to bring in Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. And honestly, too, we needed to bring in another veteran because we did lose Braxton Berrios. On Monday, he signed with the Houston Texans. So, we need another veteran to bring in. And I'm super excited about Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Obviously, I know we have Tyreek and Jalen, but I'm like extra excited about Westbrook-Ikhine as a great role player. And also Malik Washington. He had a hell of a rookie year coming into the sophomore season. I think those two guys are going to be two X factors for the Dolphins, and they're going to very much determine how far the Dolphins could go next season. So, yeah, guys, let's see. Oh, yeah, so two more guys to cover, two in-house guys that we decided to re-sign. I'll start off with Elijah Campbell. To me, one of the best special team players in the league. Last season, as the season went on, he got his shot at corner due to a lot of injuries. Kendall Fuller missed a lot of time, and we just had very inconsistent play in the cornerback position. But yeah, Elijah Campbell's a guy I especially love, right, on special teams. But I am keeping an eye on him for the cornerback position. Perhaps he could be in that competition. Perhaps he'll be more involved going forward. I think since Anthony Weaver used him towards the end of last year, more than he's ever been used really at the defensive back position, perhaps he has some more plans, coming into the coming season. And then we also re-signed Tyrell Dodson, the middle linebacker who we picked up like halfway through the year last year. He was cut from Seattle. We cut David Long and we brought in Dodson, and it was a hell of an improvement. I thought Dodson made a tremendous impact in his short time with the Fins. I believe in 6 or 7 games. He had 3 interceptions. That's kind of random. That's not something I'm expecting for him to do. That's not a normal linebacker thing. But I just thought that was a wild stat to put out there. But Tyrell Dodson, 2 years, $8 million. I think it's a hell of a bargain, hell of a deal. I know a lot of people wanted the Dolphins to get Dre Greenlaw, the big middle linebacker from the 49ers, and we were in discussions with him, allegedly. He did sign with the Broncos, though, and honestly, I was happy because as good as Greenlaw is, I don't really trust his injury history the last couple of years. So I prefer to get Dotson on a cheaper deal. We got him, like I said, 2 years, $8 million, so $4 million a year. And the Broncos gave Greenlaw, I think, $15 million a year. So I'm happy with Dotson on a super valuable contract as well. But yeah, guys, with all that said, I'm very much enjoying this free agency so far with the Dolphins. I've been super satisfied. Something that really stands out to me that I love is that we've been very patient. We've kind of let the market work. Most of our signings as well, you haven't really heard any rumblings or rumors. So I think that's really cool as well. That, a lot of these moves we haven't really known they're coming. And that's different in comparisons to some other teams around the league where you kind of know who they're going to sign and what they're going to do. But yeah, guys, with all that said, it's going to wrap up our sports segment for today, covering the Dolphins free agency as of now. But make sure to stay, locked in here to the Flame Entertainment and Sports on YouTube. We've been doing a lot of YouTube shorts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok at the Flame_ES. Stay tuned there. If breaking news comes out, the Dolphins continue to add guys via free agency. We're going to be putting some content about it out there, so make sure to keep it locked in here. But yeah, guys, if you guys want to give me your thoughts or opinions on any of these signings so far for the Dolphins or any guys you think we missed out on, hit us up on Instagram and TikTok at the Flame_ES. We'd love to hear what you think. But yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this Dolphins free agency talk. Fins up. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. Once again, thank you so much to Valerie for taking the time to join us today. It was so much fun talking about the iHeartRadio Music Awards with her. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation, and we look forward to having Valerie on again on the podcast sometime soon. Hopefully, do a little recap next week. And I also hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on the Dolphins and what they've done so far in free agency. Yeah, and once again, make sure to keep it locked in here to the Flame Entertainment and Sports on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok at the Flame_ES. And with all that said, guys, till next time, everyone, Take care.